Alright, how's everybody doing today? I'm back again with another video for you guys and gals. And today what I have for everyone is my versus/comparison video between the LG G6 and the LG Stylo 3. So, real quick though, this is not going to be as in-depth as my other versus videos. I'm going to try and make this as fast as possible. For a more in-depth look at both of these devices, please be sure to check out the links to the full reviews of each of these, which will be down below in the video description. So just wanted to throw out that real quick disclaimer. So, without further ado, let's get into this versus/comparison video. The first thing I'm going to talk about with you guys and gals is the overall build quality and design between these two devices. Let's start off with the G6. Now with the LG G6, I have to say from a build quality standpoint, this device was designed and it was built and designed extremely well. There's no rattling or creaking of any kind. All of the buttons have a nice tactile and firm press and feedback to them. Everything is solid, and I have to say this glass and metal design feels really good in the hand, and it's also very compact as well. So from a build quality standpoint, LG did a really good job with this one. Now, moving on to the design, I could say the same thing as well. As I said, it feels very solid in the hand, and it has a really nice compact design with a big display. And yeah, again, LG did a good job with this one. Now, moving on to the LG Stylo 3, in terms of the build quality and design, again, from a build quality standpoint, I think LG did a great job with this one. There's no rattling or creaking of any kind. Still, all of my buttons feel very tactile and have a nice reassuring click to them. And this device also feels really good in the hand. Not as compact as the G6, but still a very nice feel in the hand, and it has a very nice weight to it. It is almost the perfect weight. Not too light, but not too heavy. And from a design standpoint, again, I think LG did a great job. Everything is where it should be, in my opinion, and everything just works, and I have no issues with it. So again, in terms of the LG Stylo 3, I have no issues with the build quality and design, and LG actually did a really good job with this one. Now, you guys are probably wondering, so if I had no issues with either device, which one do I prefer? And really, I'm going to have to call it a tie. They both have a really nice build quality, and they both have a really nice design. So, I'm going to have to call it a tie in that regard. Now, moving on, the next thing I want to talk about with you guys is the displays on these devices. Let's start with the Stylo 3. So, up front, dead center here, you have a 5.7-inch IPS LCD display. And I gotta tell you guys, hold on, let me put my password in real quick. Oops, messed up. And I gotta tell you guys, in terms of the display, I think this is a really, really good display. Now, numbers wise, again, this is a 5.7-inch IPS LCD display, and I believe it has a screen density of 257. But putting the numbers aside, in day-to-day usage, I've had no issues with this display. It gets really bright outdoors, and I've had no issues with it. So, in terms of the display, I think LG did a good job with the display on the Stylo 3. Now, jumping over to the display on the G6 here, you're going to hear more of the same. So up front, dead center here, you have a 5.7-inch quad HD display. This one has a 18:9 aspect ratio. And again, I believe the screen density for this one was like 537. Don't quote me on that. Check out the full review for the actual numbers. But putting the numbers aside again, in day-to-day usage, this is another solid display. It gets very bright outdoors, and I haven't had any issues with the display on the LG G6. Alright? Alright, so that being said, again, you guys are probably wondering which one I prefer. In terms of just display for display, I would have to call it a tie. But I'm actually finding that, in my opinion, the 18:9 aspect displays are, starting to grow on me. I'm starting to really like them. So, although I have no issues with either display, I'm tending to lean more towards the G6 in the display category because it has the 18:9 display. It's just really nice to be able to have a decent sized display and still have it be very compact, and everything is still semi-reachable, so you don't have to strain your hands when you're interacting with your device. So in terms of displays, I have to give it to the LG G6. Now, moving on, let's talk about some more of the hardware and software in both of these. Let's start off with the G6 here. Now, hardware-wise, the G6 has 4 gigabytes of RAM and 32 gigs of onboard storage with microSD card expansion. It has 2 13-megapixel cameras in the rear, 1 wide-angle lens, and 1 primary lens. Both cameras can shoot in 4K resolution and record slow-mo video recording. And also, up front here, you have a 5-megapixel camera, and you also have the proximity and light sensors, and then you have that big 5.7-inch IPS LCD 18:9 display. Alright. Other internals. This guy packs a quad-core Snapdragon 821 processor and an Adreno 530 GPU. Alright. So that's the hardware on that one. And it has a 3300 milliamp hour battery. Talking about the hardware in the Stylo 3, right here what we have is we have 2 gigs of RAM on this guy and 16 gigs of onboard storage, again with microSD card expansion. Okay, we got a 13 megapixel camera on the back, capable of 1080p 30 frames video recording and 720p video recording. Okay, also they both have fingerprint sensors. I forgot to point that out, and both fingerprint sensors on either device is really fast. Okay, up front here we have a 5 megapixel camera, again capable of shooting in the same resolutions as the rear, so that's 1080p and 720p. Then we have a notification LED and our light and proximity sensors, and then our 5.7-inch HD display, so 720p display. Okay, other hardware, this guy has a Snapdragon 425 quad-core processor in it and an Adreno 308 GPU. Alright, now let's talk about the software, and pretty much the software is similar across the board with some key differences that I'm going to point out. So they're both running LG's UI on there, but in particular the G6 has the always on display where the Stylo 3 does not, but the Stylo 3 has a stylus, so it has that one up over the G6. Other than that, the G6 has a theming engine and all that good stuff, but the Stylo 3 does not. They both support facial recognition, although it's buried in the software. And other than that, I have to say that they're pretty much the same across the board. Now, out of the box, they come with no app drawer enabled, but you can enable the app drawer in the settings. So let me fire this up here and show you real fast. So you can see the Stylo 3, I'm running without an app drawer. And the G6, I'm running with an app drawer. And pretty much, if I wanted to, it's very easy for me to just jump into settings. Alright. Scroll down to home screen. and you can see I can easily switch this back to a regular home screen with no app draw. So you can pretty much have it either way. So however you want it, that's how you can make it. So now for just for ease of use, because I already set up the home screen with app drawer, we're just going to put that back. And you can see it's very easy to jump back and forth between the two. But other than that, I'd have to say that the software on these guys is very similar. You have your quick memo gestures on these guys. You got your so you can just easily, when the screen is off here, you can double press down to launch into the camera. Same thing on both devices. You could double press up to launch into quick memo. Sorry, I hit the power button real quick there. But you can double press up to launch the quick memo here. Pretty much on both. I think I have it turned off. But pretty much, other than that, those key little differences with the theme engine and the internals here, it's pretty much the same. So other than the theme engine and the always on display, it's pretty much the same. They both have double tap to wake and sleep, and they both have the knock code. So other than those three differences, the software is the same across the board. And in terms of software, I have to say I've had no issues with either one of these devices during a daily usage or during daily usage. So yeah, aside from the occasional app slowdown with a bunch of apps open in the background, I've had no issues. Now, moving on, let's talk about the Wi-Fi in these guys, and it's pretty straightforward. Now, across the board, they both have Wi-Fi 802.11 BGN, but where the G6 has the one up, it supports AC, so it has support for the 2.4 gigahertz band and the 5 gigahertz band, where the Stylo 3 does not. So that's probably the only difference in the Wi-Fi performance. Other than that though, talking about the Wi-Fi in daily usage, I've had no issues with either device. No issues whatsoever. And probably the only difference between Wi-Fi is that the G6 supports Wi-Fi calling, where the Stylo 3 does not. So there is that. That's probably the only difference in the Wi-Fi there. But that's enough talk. I know y'all want to see a live demo, so I have a video pulled up here. We're going to pull this video up in the background, and we're going to let y'all see how the Wi-Fi performs. Now, this will also double as a speaker test, so you guys can get a sample for the speakers as well. So I'm going to stop talking now, and you guys enjoy. And I think we'll start with the G6. So let me max this out. And here we go. Wait, did I turn rotation off on this one? Yes, I did. So yeah, turn that back on. There we go. Okay, so that's the G6 there. And now here is the Stylo 3. Once again, put it at max volume, and here we go. Okay, so real quick. So you guys can see in terms of daily usage on the Wi-Fi, I've had no issues. And y'all also got a nice little speaker test. Now, in terms of the speakers, I would have to say I don't like the placements on either of these, but if I had to pick a winner in the overall speaker performance, I'd have to go with the G6. It just sounds, they both get equally loud, but the G6 sounds a little bit more clearer. So that's my pick in terms of speakers. But it is what it is. So let's keep it moving. Now, up next now, this is where I would talk about the band supported in this guy. Now, the G6 here, this is the T-Mobile model. And it has been GSM unlocked. So you have support for all GSM carriers. And the Stylo 3 over here is the Straight Talk model. So this is the CDMA model. So this one only supports Straight Talk and Verizon. Okay? And this one is locked to Straight Talk at the moment. Now, again, for a more in-depth look at the bands supported on both of these, please check out my full reviews of each of these, which will be linked down below. But in terms of the LTE and band support and performance overall with data, I've had no issues on either of these devices, no issues whatsoever. Now, let's now talk about the overall Bluetooth in these guys. Now, Bluetooth-wise, they both have the same Bluetooth in them. They both have Bluetooth 4.2 in them. And I gotta say, in terms of Bluetooth, I haven't had any issues on either of these devices. No issues whatsoever connecting up other phones, connecting up speakers, earphones, headphones. No issues whatsoever with the Bluetooth on either of these devices. So Bluetooth-wise, I would have to say it's a tie. And the same thing could be said of the GPS performance on both of these. I didn't have any issues with turn-by-turn navigation or anything that had to do with GPS on either of these devices. So GPS-wise, it's a tie. Now I just want to talk to you guys about the call quality and speaker call quality on both of these. Now, pretty much I'd have to say, at least in speaker and call quality, the Stylo 3 wins. It just gets that much more clearer and louder on the Stylo 3. Now, again, it's not bad on the G6, but I just feel like speaker calls could have been a little bit louder. And the same thing with the internal earpiece. So in terms of call quality and speaker call quality, I have to give the W to the Stylo 3. Okay? Now, moving on now, I'm not going to give you guys a demo of the camera interface. Again, if y'all want to see that, please check out my full reviews of either one of these linked down below, because the camera setup is the same across both of these devices. You just get more modes and features on the G6, and it's a very clean, simple, and straightforward affair on the Stylo 3. But cameras wise, up front, they both have 5 megapixel cameras.
New notification from Twitter.
I forgot to turn the notifications off. I'm so sorry, y'all. But up front, they both have 5 megapixel cameras. And they both take really good pictures with the 5 megapixel cameras. But in my opinion, when it comes to the video quality, the 5 megapixel camera on the Stylo 3 beats the 5 megapixel camera on the G6 hands down. And I was very surprised to see that, considering the price difference between these two devices, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. Now on the rear, they both have 13 megapixel cameras, but the G6 incorporates another sensor, which is a wide angle sensor. And I have to say, in terms of cameras, they both take really good video and they both take really good pictures. But if I had to pick one, I have to say that the G6 gets the edge with that wide angle camera and the ability to shoot in slow motion and 4K and so on and so forth. But that being said, although the G6 does get the W, I'd still have to say that both of the cameras on both of these devices are still pretty good. So again, let me recap. That's an L for the G6 in the front facing camera, and a W for the Stylo 3, and that's an L for the Stylo 3 with the rear facing camera, and a W for the G6. Now let's keep it moving. Up next now, let's just go ahead and talk about the gaming. Now pretty much I didn't have any issues gaming on either of these devices, and I tested a bunch of games, but I'm not a heavy gamer, I'm more of a casual gamer. So I tested games like Asphalt 8, Fruit Ninja, Subway Surfer. I think the most intensive game that I tried was Mortal Kombat X, and both of these devices, handled those games without issue. And that's just a testament to the overall combinations in both of these. Again, it's a Snapdragon 821 and an Adreno 530 and a Snapdragon 425 and an Adreno 308. And both of these devices handled games like a champ. So in terms of games, I'd have to call it a tie. Next, this is where I would talk about the benchmarks, but who am I kidding? We all know in terms of raw benchmarks, the G6 beats the Stylo 3 hands down, but y'all already know what I'm about to say. Benchmarks mean absolutely nothing. What matters at the end of the day is the overall combination of hardware and software that equals an overall smooth and fluid user experience, which I believe both of these devices deliver in spades. But in terms of the raw performance numbers, the G6 wins hands down. Now, if you do want to see the raw performance benchmarks, again, please check out my full reviews of each of these devices, which will be linked down below in the video description. Now, I just want to talk about the overall battery life and charge times on each of these devices, and let's start off with the G6 here. Now, battery-wise, the G6 has a 3300 milliamp hour battery in it. And in my particular testing with my usage, and I just want to say I am a heavy user, but with my particular usage and with the way that I use my phone, I'm averaging anywhere from 7 to 9 hours of screen on time. Okay? And keep in mind, I am a heavy user, so depending on you guys' usage, your results may vary. Now, talking about the charge times on the G6, I found that this one charges much faster than the Stylo 3, hands down. Let me just pull it up for you guys. So if we go to history, you can see it right here. Now, I've done a fresh factory reset and a fresh discharge and recharge, so that's why you don't see as many stats on here. But from 0 to 100, you can see it takes the G6 about an hour and 50 minutes. But keep in mind, that depends on where you plug this guy into the charger. So if I would have done it from 10%, it probably would have been a little bit faster, like an hour and a half, hour and 25 minutes. If I would have done it from 20%, it might have been a little bit faster, like an hour and 15, hour and 20. But at least in my opinion, when it comes to the charging, I'd have to say the G6 wins hands down. Now, jumping over to the battery life and the charge times of the Stylo 3, in my particular usage, I'm easily able to get between 8 hours and 12 hours of screen on time. And in terms of charging, I'm hovering anywhere between 2.5 to 3.5 hours of charge time. Keep in mind, that depends again on where I put this guy on the charger at. So if we just pull it up, because again, I've done a fresh reset and a fresh discharge and recharge before this video. So you can see if I pull it up here, you can see in this particular charge session, it took about just over 3 hours. So 3 hours and 9 minutes. But again, that may become less or more depending on what I'm doing when I have this guy on the charger and when and where I put this guy on the charger. So I just wanted to point that out. So now, in terms of battery life and charge times, in terms of the overall battery life, the G6 handily takes the L. in terms of the overall charge times, the Stylo 3 handily takes the L. So in terms of charge times, the G6 wins, but it loses in overall screen on time. But in terms of charge times over here, the Stylo 3 loses, but it wins in overall screen on time. Again, if y'all want a more in-depth explanation on the charge times and overall battery life for either of these devices, please check out the full reviews. Again, that will be linked down below in the video description. Wow, I feel like I'm repeating that an awfully lot, but it is what it is. Now, we've reached the end of the video, and this is where I talk about the price and give you guys my final thoughts and a recommendation or two. So, starting off with the G6 here, I picked this guy up from T-Mobile, and it was $500 at the time that I picked it up, okay? And as for the Stylo 3, I picked this one up straight from Straight Talk, and I think when everything was all said and done, it ran me about $184. So, that being said, I think you can easily find the G6 on sale now from anywhere from about $260 to brand new about $500. And you can find the Stylo 3 on sale from anywhere from about $130 to $225 depending on the model. But that being said, now let's throw out a quick recommendation. Now, which one do I recommend? Well, for that, it probably have to go down to what do you use your devices for and what do you feel you're going to get the most usage out of. Now, if you use the overall feature set in the G6, you know, the wireless charging, you take a lot of photos, you do a lot of high definition video, so on and so forth, then I would probably say you're going to like the G6, and if you can afford it, go with the G6. But if you want some good cameras, some overall battery life, but you're going to take a hit on the charge times, but you still have the addition of the stylus, I would say if you want to save money and you're okay with it, go with the Stylo 3. Again, the overall core software experience is the same across the board on both of these devices. You just get a little bit more features on the G6. So, if we're breaking it down, just talking about price, I'd have to say go with the Stylo 3. If you're a light user, you can go with the Stylo 3. If you're a heavier user, I would say go with the Stylo 3 Plus, because as I've said in my full review, the 16 gigs gets eaten up rather quickly on the Stylo 3 here, and there's no ability to make your SD card internal storage on this guy. So in that regard, if you're a heavy user and you got a lot of apps, I would say go with the Stylo 3 Plus. And the same thing can be said of the G6 as well. If you're a heavy user and you got a ton of apps and you chew through 32 gigs like a boss, then I would probably recommend the LG Q6 Plus. That one is pretty much the G6 here, but you get more internal storage. They bump you up from the 32 gigs that you have on the G6 to 128 gigs. Okay, you still have microSD card expansion, but again, similar to the Stylo 3, you can't make your microSD card internal storage. So, yeah, that pretty much does it for this versus/comparison video between the LG G6 and the LG Stylo 3. Again, if you want to see more in-depth information on these devices, please check out my full reviews, which will be linked down below. If you want to see camera samples and all that good stuff, photo samples, all of that stuff will be linked down below as well as where you can pick these two devices up at some really great prices, as well as the recommended cases and screen protectors and micro SD cards for both of these devices. All of that stuff will be down below in the video description. So if this video piques your interest, down below in the video description will be like a one-stop shop down there. That being said, if you guys and gals enjoyed the video, please help your boy out and give it a thumbs up. That really does help me out. You don't know how much. If you want to see more raw, fast-paced content like this, please hit the subscribe button down below so you get notified. If you want to see more raw, uncut content like this, please hit the subscribe button down below and click off the notification bell icon so you get notified when I post new videos to YouTube. There, I said it without messing up. And as always, if you guys and gals know anyone out there looking for some high quality, affordable devices and products at some really great prices, please share with them my channel, because I'm doing this for everyone because we all deserve the best. Alright y'all, I hope everyone has a great day, and I will catch you guys and gals in my next video. And just so you guys know, this whole video is being recorded using the 21 megapixel camera on the Moto X Pure Edition at 720p 30 frames a second, and all the audio for this video was recorded using the lavalier clip-on CQ microphone. So please let me know how the video looks, and please let me know how the audio sounds. Alright, I hope everyone has a great day, and I will catch you guys and gals in the next video. Peace.